Alrighty, folks, welcome back. You know what we're doing today. We're doing a comparison. So, BBR models, LCD models, Pagani Utopia, both of them in the presentation white color. Yeah, let's jump right into it. So, we do have a couple other versions from both of these brands so far. It's actually funny. So far, they've each only released two versions of this car, two colors. So the BBR gave us the presentation version in this white color. It's actually called Grigio Rinascimento. And then they also gave us one in Dubai red. And then LCD models gave us, I think it's the same presentation version. It might be slightly different color-wise. They just call it white on their packaging. But then they also gave us one in full carbon fiber. I have done a review on these LCD models. It was we reviewed both of them in the same video. I will link that down in the description if you're interested in watching that. But yeah, we reviewed this BBR Pagani last night. So now we're going to do a comparison video with the both of them. So we'll go ahead and get them unboxed. The packaging on both of these are really nice. Two pretty different styles. So this is just like the boxed version where you get with BBR, and then the LCD models is obviously the acrylic case. I don't really have a preference between them. I like both packaging styles the same. I like that there's no like extra waste with them. But yeah, I do want to point out with the LCD models, you get the acrylic case, and then you also get this carbon fiber base on the underneath the car. And that is, from everything I've been able to tell so far on all of the ones that have had this is actually real carbon fiber. So it's a very nice touch. It probably does add a little bit to the cost of the model, if I'm being honest, but it doesn't seem like it's too bad. But yeah, the LCD also does come with this quality control pass, which is a good thing. So there is that. That usually lives in the bottom of the case. Little foam pad on the bottom of the plinth. So that's kind of a nice touch as well. Just makes it feel a little bit more premium. And it's also got a couple little rubber gaskets on the screw and the mounting peg as well. So kind of just protects the bottom of the car. Make sure you don't like over tighten it or anything. So that is really nice. And then aside from that, it's your pretty typical display case. They are a little bit bigger than the standard Tarmac Works size. They're a little bit taller. But yeah, the packaging on the LCD is nice. It's done in this like dark gray color. You've got the Utopia in the back with black letters. Of course, both of these models are going to be officially licensed by Pagani. LCD and BBR are both super legit brands. But yeah, pretty plain but very clean packaging for the LCD. And then the BBR model is just your standard BBR. So you've got the render of the car on the front with the Pagani Utopia. You've got the embossed BBR logo on the top of the box. Licensing and information right there, and then your warnings and whatnot. So packaging, I don't really think I'd give a point to it. Maybe a slight point towards LCD because they do have that carbon fiber base, but the LCD is more expensive. So, and before we jump into the actual cars, I do want to talk about price. So the BBR Pagani Utopias, both colors of them, mind you, they are going for about $18 USD, at least here in the US. I don't know how it is in other regions. I apologize. I can't really speak on that. But as far as like the US pricing goes, they're going for about $18 plus shipping, $19 plus shipping. These Pagani Utopias in the US, I did find a US seller that has them in stock, and they're going for $25 plus shipping. So they're about $6 to $7 more than the BBRs. So they are pretty close. You know, 18 versus 25, we'll just call it that for the simplicity of the video. However, that was the only US seller I could see that had these Utopias in stock for a reasonable price. Aside from that, you're going to have to look on AliExpress or eBay, and you're likely going to be buying from China. I think these were released globally, but they have been out for a bit now, so they might have started to sell out. But yeah, as far as retail price goes, they are pretty close. But yeah, let's go ahead and jump into it. We did already review both of these cars, so we don't need to take a super in-depth look at all the features, but we'll give you kind of a quick rundown of them both. Of course, LCD on the right, BBR on the left. Kind of look at the paints. So they do look to be the same color, at least both brands were going for the same color. The BBR, the metal flake in the BBR is a little bit more prominent than it is on the LCD. You can kind of see the metal flake is kind of big on this one, and it's a lot more subtle on this version of it. Let's zoom in a little bit so we can see better. So the metal flake is there, but it's a lot more subtle. You can kind of see it right there. It almost looks like a sand finish. So that is a difference. LCD doesn't give us the actual paint name for their model, so we can't know for sure if these are both based on the exact same Braille paints. I would imagine they probably are. So there's a little bit of a difference there. But I think both of the paints on these look really good, and they might not be the same model. So just take the paint color with a grain of salt. Both of them have really nice paints. You're just going to have a little bit more of a metallic shimmer on this BBR model, and it does have a little bit of a color shift too. It kind of turns gold in some lighting. You can kind of see it as we move the car. There's some gold accents. And then the LCD is going to be a little bit more of like your standard like cream metallic color. But yeah. So paint, I think, is a draw. I think they both have really good paint. And then wheels, we'll talk about wheels next. So here are the LCDs, super detailed. You can see there's actually like some decent detail around this outer lip. There's actually like, it looks like there's some space going through there. Yeah, they look super nice on this. It looks like the wheels are kind of like a two-tone black and silver, along with that extra detail on the lip. So that is really nice. The wheels are the same color on both sides, and the reason I mention that is because the BBR does have a different color on each side. So silver on this side, and then you have that cream color on this side, which makes me kind of think these are two different color specs of the car. So that's why I'm not going to judge it too much on paint. But yeah, the wheels on both look good. They definitely are a little bit more detailed on the LCD, I think. Yeah, they just are. But the LCD doesn't have tire printing, which to me isn't a big deal on a car like this. And it might just have been this presentation version that had the Pirelli logos. And so I get that does kind of give this one a pass. It's hard to compare that because, again, we don't know if these are the exact same spec. LCD just isn't super clear about it. But yeah, wheels on both do look really good, but LCDs are indisputably more detailed. And you also have brake details on the LCD. It is kind of hard to see them on this because of how deep they are in there, but you can see the red caliper right in there. And then you can probably see it on the front wheel too. It is a little bit hard without a flashlight. I should have had one ready. But there are drilled brake rotors and red calipers on this LCD model, which is awesome. Even when they're hard to see, the detail is still there, which in my opinion makes these models awesome. But yeah, wheels, I would give the edge to LCD. As far as like the actual casting shape of the car, they both look spot on scale wise. I don't really see much of a difference. Maybe the LCD is slightly shorter, maybe just a tad. But both, they're so close that it's hard to tell unless I busted out a pair of calipers and did the actual like measurements and calculations and stuff. It would be really hard to really say if one is more accurate than the other in terms of scale. But yeah, so we'll give it a draw for that. Now, I want to look at the front grille. So this BBR right here is just a flat front grille. It's just painted in with black paint. The LCD is actually open, which I believe is accurate. And there is actually some like a radiator or intercooler detail back up in there. So, and then there's also a couple vents in front of the wheels in these little channels on this off to the sides too. So the LCD is definitely more detailed in the front end. But aside from that, they both have the little silver dots for the fog lights. They both have nice acrylic headlights as well. But yeah, the LCD definitely does look a little bit better in terms of the front detail. Now let's go to the back. LCD also wins in this department by a lot because as you'll see, again, this little panel right here where it actually like kind of goes in the car is kind of just flat with a little bit of paint in there, whereas the LCDs is actually open and you can see quite a bit of that exhaust detail back there as well. Among other things, like also the taillights on the LCD look way more detailed. You actually have that like separate silver piece going around and then the white kind of like target looking things with the little dots in the center, whereas the BBRs are just kind of a clear molded acrylic. So yeah, LCD taillights definitely look way better. The exhaust on the LCD is also a lot more detailed, but not quite as well executed as the BBR. So as you can see, this top car right here, the LCD, you do actually have metal pipes for the exhaust tips. These are photo etched metal, and then you also have that chrome ring going around it. But the exhaust tips, as you can see, they're not centered very well, and they're a little bit wonky. Like, it's the whole, like, all four pipes are kind of twisted, and they're not square. So they are more detailed in terms of, like, the parts they use, but the BBR does look better. Those exhaust tips are a little bit more centered. You still have that silver ring kind of going around it, not chrome, just silver on the BBR. So they do look a little bit straighter and nicer on this one, but they do look a lot more detailed on the LCD. And then aside from that, you have the license plate. BBR does it in carbon fiber. LCD just did it in black, but you do have the Pagani lettering on both. LCD is just painted on, whereas the BBR is actually a separate piece. Same thing for the Utopia badge. It is a separate piece on the BBR, and it is just printed on for the LCD. I don't really care either way. I just want the logos to be like straight and centered. So not a big deal to me. Also, LCD does have a little extra brake light detail in the center right there under the license plate, whereas the BBR does have that little dot in there. It's just not painted. So yeah, I definitely think the rear end of the LCD looks better. As far as the wings, they both look pretty much the same. Maybe the LCD is a little bit more better detailed because there actually is a little bit of a gap in between the wing and then that piece that goes across. Or maybe the BBR is a little bit more detailed. Maybe there shouldn't be a big gap. But yeah, I'm trying to hold them in the same hands to stay consistent. I do think the right one, the LCD, does look better than the BBR on the back and on the front, which, you know, comes naturally. LCD is a very high detailed brand. So, yeah. Aside from that, both of them do have the little brown, reddish brown straps for the rear hatch and also the front right there. You see these little lines on that front. That's actually little leather straps that hold down the front hatch and the rear hatch. So those will be on both sides. They both look really good. They both have that correct print on the side of the car. It says Horacio Pagani. Both of them have it. They're both pretty eligible for how small it is. So both of them, that's a tie. And yeah, the mirrors on both of them are actually both pretty dang good too. They're both like molded plastic, and they both look pretty accurate. I would say I think the LCDs look a little bit more defined than the BBRs, possibly, but they're both so good that I think that's also a tie. They both have the little reflective stickers in the mirrors. It's really hard to make it focus on that, but this is the LCD. It has the reflective mirrors. And then so does the BBR model. However, I did note the BBRs kind of looked like they were about to fall out, at least on this side. But yeah, they both have the reflective stickers in the mirrors. So, what other small details can we kind of look at? So both of them do have that little texture on the sunroofs or the top windows. So that's pretty good. Both of them do have color on the engine bay. The LCD is just all silver, whereas you do have a little bit of yellow detailing in the BBRs right there. But yeah, we'll open them both up and take a look at that. As far as the bases, both of these do have a metal base, which is awesome. So they both feel very nice in the hands. They're very heavy. And then the LCD does tell you what the car is. The BBR does not. In terms of a comparison, I guess that is just a little bit of a nice feature on the LCD. And then obviously this one has the peg hole and the screw hole right there. So yeah, that is very nice. Let's go ahead and take the cars apart. Alright guys, I forgot to do this actual segment in the video. You know me, I forget things, but we'll do an actual roll test on both of them as well. So, starting off with the BBR. As do all BBRs, it actually rolls quite well, very smooth. There's like some slight bumping. Hopefully you can hear that, but there's a little slight bumping, so it's not like super quiet, but it does roll smoothly. The LCD, I'm sure to a lot of people's surprise, also rolls quite well. Not every LCD will roll, but this Utopia rolls quite well. It is a little bit louder than the BBR, and it is still a little bit bumpy, but it rolls pretty good. So they both get a pass for the roll test. and we will look at the interior detail. That screw is a little bit tight. And then I will give you guys my final thoughts. But yeah, so far LCD is definitely better, but like I said, you are going to pay more money for it, especially now that they kind of sell out from a lot of retailers, and you know, they're more expensive than they used to be, more expensive than MSRP. Okay, so there's the base for the BBR model. Now let's do the one for the LCD. Yeah, both, you can't go wrong with either one. They're both very nice models. My buddy is sending me Xbox invites right now. Luckily my phone's on silent, but I don't know if you guys ever have that issue. It's like, I'm trying to record a video, leave me alone. Anyways, I'm having a hard time. Oh, this is interesting. This is opening up a lot differently than I thought it would on this LCD. It's actually like, oh, I don't want to lose these screws. It's actually like splitting like down the middle, which I guess would help them keep those details in the front and the rear. Let's see if I can do this without breaking it. It is coming apart. Oh my gosh, I might not be able to get this one apart. I've never had an issue taking these apart before. Both the screws are out. Here, let's finish doing the BBR. Let me zoom out so you guys can see what's going on. So there's the wheels. There's the interior piece for the BBR. Well, the wheels are rolling away. Forgot to put it in park. All right, so there's the BBR. Let's see if we can get this Utopia apart right here. Yeah, I'm having a hard time with this. I don't want to break it or bend the metal. Does it kind of like pop backwards or something? Is there something I'm missing here? Can we get the interior plastic out right now how it is? Oh my gosh. Maybe. Yes. Okay, so I'm just going to slide that out. I don't really know. I'm trying to look in here to see what's holding it together, but yeah, I can't really tell, but I don't want to break it. So now it's an empty shell. This thing is gutted. All right, so there's that. I don't know how to take the actual casting apart, but let's look at the interiors now. So both of them do have really nice interiors. Very nice interiors. So they are a little bit different in terms of color. So the LCD is going to be red with like some white or silver. I think that's white. And then the BBR is going to be that brown and tan combo. So like kind of like a leather look. Engine base. So there is the BBRs again, silver. And then you have a little bit of gray and a little bit of yellow. I like the yellow right there in that center part right there. And then the LCDs is going to be silver and black, but then you also do have this like chrome colored support brace, which is really nice too. And also the engine on the LCD is a lot bigger too. So a lot more detailed there, even though there is a little bit of splash color. I think I like the LCDs more. And then as far as the actual interiors go, both of them are really nice. You've got silver accents on the steering wheels. You've got the gauge clusters in the center right there. You've got the two little things up here. Actually, there's four on that top of the dash right there. They both have that. Both very nicely detailed. You've got the instrument cluster right there on both. It looks like there's no decals in there for the BBR, but there is for the LCD right behind that steering wheel. And then there's also some pedals down there on the LCD. I don't know if you can see those. There's three of them. And I can't tell if there's pedals on the BBR because it has the door panels. This LCD does not. And I actually think the detail, yeah, there is detail for the doors. It's just part of the actual body of the car. So very cool. But yeah, both interiors are really nicely detailed. I do think the LCD is a bit more detailed because you do have color on that center console, like the gear shifter and all those buttons and stuff. There's like some tan and gray. This one is just part of that brown. But honestly, for the price point of both of these interiors are absolutely amazing. So yeah, very nice. Very, very nice. So my final thoughts after looking at both of them. I think you can't go wrong with either one. If you want to spend a little bit more on the LCD and get a little bit more detail, I think that's absolutely fair. If you're not crazy about the Utopia and you want to just get the BBR, Can't go wrong either. It still has awesome detail, and it's a bit more affordable, especially now that these Paganis are kind of starting to creep up in price, especially from the sellers from China have been really overpricing stuff lately. I don't know why. But yeah, honestly, I love them both. I think I personally do like the LCD a little bit more, but I'm also a really big fan of these supercars like Pagani, McLaren, Lamborghini, Ferrari, all that kind of stuff. I really like having really detailed versions of these cars that cost multi-millions of dollars in real life. So I definitely think it's worth it for the extra detail, but I can also understand being okay with the BBR and the amount of detail it gives you because it's no slouch. For $18, look at that interior. Amazing. The wheels are awesome. The actual body and casting is phenomenal. Really nice paint. So yeah, this is kind of another one of those comparisons where, honestly, it just depends on how much you like the car and how much you want to spend. So yeah, let me know in the comments down below, which one do you like more? Do you guys have either one of these? I'm curious, do any of you have both of these? Is there anybody out there that has the LCD and the BBR? Let me know, and let me know your thoughts. I'm really excited to hear what you guys think. I appreciate you guys watching, and I'll chat with you guys down in the comments.